Why would anyone start a one-man black metal band? There's a fuck ton of one-man black metal bands, and I get that a lot of them are probably pretty shitty. Um, there's a stigma that's attached to one-man black metal bands, and I didn't necessarily start out to do the one-man black metal thing. Um, I did try to find other musicians, and if I'm being 100% honest with myself, at the time when I really got back into the craft again of drumming, I didn't really think that my skill set was up to where people needed it to be if I ever wanted to be in a band, like a professional band. And I guess no one likes to be told that they can't play, or no one likes to not get the audition, not be very good in front of other people. So, with a lack of people that are into the same type of music as I am in the area that am in, um, I decided to give this a shot myself. So, from never ever playing guitar, I picked up the instrument at the end of 2023, and figured this can't be too hard. And boy, was I mistaken. But so when you start it, you do the best you can with what you got, what you see on the fucking TV of people playing guitars, right? You move your hands up and down the fretboard, you try and make sounds. So that's how I started. I don't know much about the instrument. Um, I did learn from a lot of trial and error what things sound like, majors, minor chords. And I went from there, and that was pretty much how that first demo was written. Just, a lot of intent, just not a lot of skill. And that's the best thing about being in a band by yourself is, first off, you've got a very defined wall of limitations. And that limitation is your skill set, how much money's in your pocket, and I guess fucking no one telling you that no, that doesn't sound good, maybe, but that's to a lesser extent. But having those limitations, it makes it more interesting, right? Because you've got to adapt, or you've got to figure out other ways of fucking making this shit work. And that's what I did. But in saying that, all the bands that I've been in, songs aren't written in the same way that I write songs. So when I have an idea for a song, it's played in sections. So I'll have a rough idea of what I'm looking for as far as a vocal line or how I want to run that. But does it ever turn out the way it sounds in my head? Very, very rarely. And that's basically because I can't play what's going on up here. I think I can, but by the time it transfers to that machine, it can sound nothing like it. So you've got to try and work with that. Finding a sound that you particularly like is probably the fun part. Again, not knowing anything about amplifiers, distortion pedals, but knowing a lot about the albums that I like listening to, it's the dumb science of just trying to tune your ears into trying to sound like that. And I was told by, guitar players that I asked a lot of questions to, that being a drummer, I would have an advantage, be able to pick it up quickly or quicker because, of the rhythm factor of playing guitar. And, when I started hearing that, it made no sense until I actually picked the machine up and started fucking banging around on it, because a lot of it is, especially in metal, a lot of accenting notes and doing crazy shit like that. But writing songs is done in section by section. And, you know, the beauty of recording now digitally is if you don't like a section, you can rather redo it or you can move it. It may not sound great here. I might want to take that verse and extend it twice. I might want to, you know, I can move it all the way to the end. You can do pretty much anything you want. But traditionally, when you hear the word one-man black metal, you can almost picture in your mind exactly what that's going to sound like, you know, and it's normally pretty rough. Well, my intention in doing this wasn't to be part of that group, part of that mindset. Like, I wasn't here to, you know, hide behind shadows. I wasn't here to sound like, you know, I wanted to put a gun in my mouth. I wasn't here to fucking, you know, be anonymous, you know, and not that I'm doing this for fame and fortune, because if I am, I picked the wrong fucking genre, but there's something that's very unlimited about black metal, and then there's something that also takes all those limitless possibilities and puts them into a very narrow box. Okay. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of the times that narrow guideline is the people that listen to it. But I have noticed a lot actually over the course of doing this that there's a lot of very open-minded, very, you know, very willing to give things a chance black metal fan. You know, they're probably sick of the lo-fi, just, you know, growl, 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 shitty guitar sounds, bad drumming, and, you know, not to say that I don't have bad drumming, but they are probably looking for something that's a little bit just different from that pack. And that was the whole plan of Warhammer 666. You know, I didn't want to sound like a one-man black metal band. I wanted to sound like a full thing. So to do that, you know, I wanted to play, you know, real drums. And not the kit you see behind me, but I actually wanted to play real drums. I've got 2 sets, and I had my first kit when I got to this country bought for me, and that's a pretty, you know, ghetto looking kit. And I thought that would be perfect because it doesn't sound great. I could try to tune it and I could try to fix it, but ultimately I wanted it to sound the way it looked, all right? Pretty rough. But when I heard that thing on, you know, recording the first time, it was like, that's not going to cut it. So I went out and bought a better kit. And then you have the problem of where you're going to record it. You got to set that kit up, and then it's going to be way fucking loud. So anyone in your house that's willing to put up with that deserves some type of fucking award, because, you know, it's a lot of noise and banging and crashing around and sounding like you're a fucking idiot. But I decided to go with something that was, one, more audibly pleasing if you live in the same household as me, and 2, I didn't have to worry about miking it or, you know, making sure this thing was tuned. But, and though I have many friends who utilize this tool in their own music, I am not a fan of drum machines in metal bands. I think it strips the soul from music. I don't think that it sounds great, and then, you know, you can always tell it's a machine. There is a few ones now that sound it, but again, when you have guitar players or non-drummers mixing drum machines, programming drum machines, I should say, it sounds exactly like how a guitar player thinks that drummers play. You know, it's fucking ungodly that it's almost allowed in music, and I apologize to everyone who does it. But when I'm listening to black metal, like, I want to hear the organic feeling of it. Like, I want to hear some of the mistakes. I want to, as long as they don't fuck with the basis or the powerfulness of the song, like, some flaws I think are, you know, perfect for black metal. And the biggest one is obviously your sound that you get by miking it up with one microphone at the corner of the room, right? But if you are struggling to keep up, like many of the early Judas Iscariot releases, like that almost lends itself to the excitement because you don't know when it's going to fall. It's like a tightrope, no net. You're just trying to get across it. So I think getting the electronic kit definitely kind of stepped up that game. It made it sound like something a little bit more legitimate. The other beauty of being in a band by yourself is you can rehearse, practice, and write anytime you please. And now with the technology of the 21st century, you can record anything you want and whenever you want and make it sound half decent if you've got a bit of a handle on the system that you're working. And I record everything. If you can see behind me on the screen, you'll see songs that are fully recorded, fully mastered, ready to go. And I'm even starting to break them down into how I think they would sit on releases, toying with the dynamics and fast albums and slower albums and depressing albums and things like that. So that is also lends to the mindset when you pick up the guitar and plug it in and you're starting a fresh page of what am I going to write today, And some of it does turn out like shit, and I keep that because, it's a document of something. It's I can look back on it and go, okay, well, that was a good idea, but that didn't work. So I keep it all like a research material. The other plus I find being alone doing this is my choice of aesthetic. If I didn't want to wear makeup or corpse paint, as you like to call it, I didn't have to wear it, And the picture that is on the demo of the Fuck Your Goat was actually taken in Sydney, Australia on Halloween when we were going to an event, and me and the missus dressed up, slapped on the paint, and for the rest of the night, people thought, I was trying to look like Rob Zombie, so I thought that was kind of funny. But I've never done the makeup thing after that, but I enjoy the aesthetic of it. I enjoy seeing bands wear it, but if, I'm talking on camera or I'm being, on a live stream, like I'm not going to wear fucking makeup. I think it's silly. So that's the other plus. And again, with the artwork, I get to pick whatever I feel. And I've gone out of my way to hide little things in there that amuse me and no one's picked up, and, color schemes and sayings and pictures and that type of shit would be hard to sell in a room full of four guys who all have very strong ideals, especially if they're into black metal, because, that's normally the people it brings, right? And I'm probably a complete cunt to work with. So that's also saved me. It's definitely saved me some fucking headaches. However, looking outside of what I do, looking at other bands, it's hard to, I guess, if you wanted to talk to another one-man black metal band, the limit is probably, the numbers of people that are doing it and you can reach out and, they'd want to speak to you is relatively small, believe it or not. Like, I thought it would have been more of a people just kind of not wanting to have their face associated with something they may not have 100% believed in. But looking out into it, I speak to a few guys, and it's not very deep conversations, but we don't go into the pluses and minuses of each other's bands. But I would like to talk to other one-man black metal bands, like serious ones that have an agenda that is being, we're heading in this direction and this is how we do things. But what I find in the scene is a lot of just throw it against the wall, see what happens. Like, I've been doing this for a while with bands, and I see You know, a lot of mistakes that I've made, you know, just throwing out releases with zero people knowing about them, and how that results is you sitting there with a bunch of releases that you can't sell and you have to play live and almost just give them away. So I didn't really want to do that, though some of that is inevitable, you know, when you're starting out. But I wanted to think this through. And though, yeah, I've been accused of being the businessman in this or whatever, that's not what, you know, I do. I'm the one spending my money, you know, and I've got no interest in losing my money because I want to reinvest that into the next thing. So when I do something, you know, I want to make sure that I'm getting money back to do the next thing, or breaking even, or not taking such a huge bath on it. So a lot of the things that I do, I try to make very calculated decisions on what I'm doing. And there's also people, if you've been following me for any amount of time, that you don't want to be associated with, because they can take that and they can just burn it. Fucking gone. Doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how much work you've put in, there's people out there that can burn it. And then there's people in your life that can just fucking trip it up and slow it down and make it a fucking mess. And there was a line that Paul Stanley said once, which was, you know, you've got to get rid of all your girlfriends, family, normal friends. You know, if you really want to do something in this business, that's the sacrifice you're going to make. Well, I took that more along the lines of, you know, you have to make sure that those people that are in your life are supportive and aren't dragging you down because grown ass adults can't look after their own shit. So normally I find that I will, you know, move away from people that I don't think have a handle on their own life. And what I see a lot of the times is they reach out and kind of sink hooks in to people that are close to them, and that slows them down. And then sometimes they reach out to try and stop the fall, and they'll slow you down. So I am pretty ruthless when it comes to who I let in to my life. Not that it's very exciting or very, you know, whatever. It's just, I know exactly what I'm trying to do, and I know people that have a similar mindset, and I know people who, and it's maybe not even a fault of their own, but I do know people that will, unknowingst to them, sometimes knowingly, will just fucking drag you down.